Welcome to Coffee with Viking. I am Mike. Cheers. And we are on session 7, part 1 of Remaining Faithful in the Fire. Courage that sustains. Daniel 6, 1 through 10. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might have accounted unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto King Darius, Live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree, and that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he knelt upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Chapter 5 ends with a new king, Darius the Mede, ruling in Babylon. Daniel had continued in public service and continued to field attacks from jealous officials in the king's court. We see this kind of behavior in our election cycles. The commercials start multiplying, so-and-so is a liar. 32 years ago, he said this at a party. He voted with Big Nursery to take candy from babies. They always seem to find something, but with Daniel, after 6 decades of public service, these guys searched but couldn't find anything. Daniel had been utterly trustworthy in all that he did. What did the officials find as Daniel's weak point? What must they have known about Daniel to believe this plot would work? Well, that he prayed to God 3 times a day, the one true God. And they saw that strength as a weakness until they saw the true strength of prayer when God held the mouth of the lions closed and Daniel was not consumed. If a decree like this were issued today, in what way would it challenge you personally? Well, we know that day is coming. The Bible already tells us, and we already know, we will become enemies of the state. We will become imprisoned and put on death row. We already know this is coming. It is prophesied. The weak spot the officials found was Daniel's faith. Daniel had been so consistent after decades in a pagan culture that they had complete assurance that he would be trapped by this law. Their plot appealed to the king's ego and his desire to be seen as a sole provider for his empire. Even though Daniel lived in the king's house, ran his government, and received his meals from the king's table, he never trusted the king as his ultimate provider because he knew God was. For that, he looked to heaven, and that's exactly how they trapped him. Where else in our study of Daniel have we seen him turn to prayer? What does this teach us about Daniel's spiritual health and habits? Daniel had prayed 3 times daily for 70 years. He'd done it in Daniel 1 when they tried to force him to eat forbidden foods. He'd done it in chapter 2 when the king threatened to kill all the wise men because no one could interpret his dreams. His friends had done it in Daniel 3 with Nebuchadnezzar, when Nebuchadnezzar tried to force them to bow down to his golden image. Whenever Daniel had been in trouble, he turned to God, and that's where we should always turn. Prayer was as natural to him as breathing. What did Daniel believe about God to go to him in every circumstance, including multiple credible threats to his life? How does this kind of literal death-defying prayer lead to courage? Daniel recognized that his life didn't belong to him. It always belonged to God. If that was true, his problems didn't belong to him either. They belonged to God. All Daniel was responsible for, and all you're responsible for, is what God commands you to do. Love and serve Him and others. When you trust God, the provider and sustainer of your life, you can be courageous because you realize everything in life is dependent on Him. Father, help me to turn to you in prayer no matter the circumstance. Now, Daniel, he had it right in everything we face, in everything he faced, as we should in everything we face. He turned to God. He prayed. He gave it to God. He didn't stress. And if you want to see where not stressing and trusting God will get you, read Daniel. The guy started out as a captive and a slave, and became became advisors and wise men to kings, became rulers of kingdoms, and became the most trustworthy throughout every kingdom he served, because he served God above all else, and God led him through. And if you want to know why our lives seem to fall apart the more we stress, it's because we're taking it on ourselves. When we give it to God, it takes the stress away, and it helps us focus on the things we got to do and not the things that are out of our control. And Daniel knew this. He knew he couldn't control everything, that there were some things he could do, but to everything else, give it to God. Even his own life. And this is where we need to be. I know I need to get better at this too, because there are times I let life get to me too. But stand strong in the Lord. He is always with us, and He is our provider. He is our source of courage and strength. Stay blessed. Stay caffeinated. Much love.